This is episode 54 of This Makes Me Happy. Welcome to This Makes Me Happy, a podcast about people and what makes them happy. I'm your host, Bernardo Margulis. I'm a designer, art director, and educator, and I'm the principal of This Makes Me Happy, a design studio where I help my clients with branding and visual communications. I'm very happy to present This Makes Me Happy, the podcast, where each week I chat with a different person about what makes them happy. My guests come from all walks of life, and each of them shares their own personal happy stories. Join us every week for a unique conversation. Hello, today I am very happy to have Meir Kay with me. Meir is a filmmaker and motivational speaker. Hi Meir, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Else from that intro, is there anything else you want people to know about you?
I have 11 onesies and counting.
Is that an obsession, a coincidence?
I just got into this onesie craze, I don't know, within like the past year or so. And I just can't look back. Every time people know me as like the onesie guy, I have a bunch of videos with me in my onesie. I think they're super practical. They show so much character. They're so comfortable. And I just love them. I love them.
Good. And maybe that'll make it into the conversation or not. But I want to know, everyone wants to know what makes you happy.
Aha, a great question. I saw that coming. It's an amazing question. So simple in just words, but it's quite deep. What makes me happy? So I gave it some thought, and there were different ways I was trying to see to go about it. But I think initially to really start off my motivation to make what makes me happy is when I know myself that I am using all my God-given talents for good. When I'm in the zone, when I'm doing what it is that I love, when I'm out with people, whether it's through talking, through dancing, through helping somebody, when I'm using my body, my mind, and my emotions all in one together equally, I know that that brings me to a state of happiness. Not just when I'm just doing manual labor or when I'm just using just one facet of my being, but when I'm using all my aspects, when I'm really truly involved. Sort of like they say in Judaism, I'm an Orthodox Jew, and there's a holiday called Sukkot, which, by the way, is a very, very happy holiday. It's a very joyous holiday in its own right. But one of the mitzvahs, one of the commandments that we do on this holiday is that we sit in the sukkah. And in sukkah is this hut which we have outside. Some people eat in it. Some people go to the extent of sleeping in it for the 8 days of the holiday. What's so special about this idea of the sukkah is that to accomplish this mitzvah, this commandment, is all you got to do is go in it. And what you're doing is by going inside it, your whole body, everything about you is encompassed within this mitzvah, within this commandment. Other commandments partake only, let's say, the hands or the head or different things, your mouth, just by saying certain things. But with this commandment, every single part of you is part of it. And that's what I try. And that's what leads me to my own happiness, and which allows me to then go forth and spread happiness to others, is when I know that every single part of me is doing it, is involved, and is being active in the pursuit of doing something good.
What does it mean to you do good? We have different definitions, we have different scopes, and we were talking in the pre-conversation how you are not a typical Orthodox person. You do it in very different ways, but you're still doing good and still going by the Jewish law. What does it mean for you to do good, and how do you do it differently, or how do you do it the same?
Wow, you're full of good questions today. Goodness, it's true. The first thing that comes to me when I think of doing good is to make this world a brighter place. Now, that's also a very general aspect, but I might, to give maybe some context to where I'm going with this, is to give some background of that. I mentioned that I am an Orthodox Jew, and I come from a community, a sect called Chabad, which is which has a large emphasis on being happy, and it's sort of known that people can sort of pick me out, like when they know that I'm Jewish, a lot of people can say, oh, you're from the Chabad sect, because just from my demeanor and the way I interact and how I'm bouncing around and being joyous is that's the kind of household I was brought up in, and the philosophy of the movement is that we to truly be in service of God and to live a fulfilling life, it's through being happy. Happiness breaks all barriers. There's a whole book around fighting depression and how depression is to overcome depression, to be happy. It's called the Tanya, which delves into the psyche of one's mind. It's an incredible read. For people who are of the Jewish faith or not, it's incredible. And when one studies and one engrosses and puts himself in this sort of philosophy and mindset of how happiness could truly go beyond all bounds. We thought in the past fasting was a way of connecting with God and to deprive oneself of physicality, of not eating, of no physical pleasures. But through time and through study, what we believe is that no, obviously there is a time to fast and there's a time to be serious, and that's of course 100% guaranteed. But for the most part, and there's many a time where fasting cannot achieve what it is that we need, and happiness is the way to go, and that's usually that is the way I try to live my life. And so another terminology that's used within Chabad, the sect, and which the Rebbe, the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe used to push, other ones beforehand as well, was the lamplighter. And I like to use that a lot within my motivational videos, is that each and every one of us has the power to illuminate another life, that we are lamplighters. The lamplighter was a man who had a job back in the day in the villages when there was no electricity in the streets. He would go around with a long pole and light the lamps with the fire and ignite them and light up the road. And in this day and age, each and every one of us, I believe, has the power to be that lamplighter. Within every one of us, we have a spark, a soul, whatever you like to call it. We have this energy within us. And for some, that energy could be low. It could be covered. It could be dark. And we have the ability to be that lamplighter, to go around in those dark streets and to ignite the fire within each and every one of body. And by doing so, illuminating the world, illuminating the streets, and then illuminating the community, illuminating the world. And I truly believe that when I think of good and when I think of brightness, I think that every one of us is this catalyst of energy, and we all have a certain energy that no one else has that we could contribute to this world. So I look at doing good is by bringing this unity of all types of people, no matter what their background, no matter what their religion may be, whatever they believe in is totally cool with me. And I just try to do my part and to illuminate the world around me, and by doing so, hopefully to illuminate this world to a greater state of consciousness and love.
I love what you said about how we used to think fasting, your physical repentance, those used to be the ways to make things better, and now it's about happiness. It's about bringing joy to people. There's a book, It's Okay to Laugh Seriously by Gidi Stolik, and she talks about the difference between joy and happiness, and joy is being happy by serving the greater good. And she's also Chabad, and she talks about religion a lot, but how it's okay to be happy doing all the things. It's not all about sacrifice. It's also, if you're not happy, how can you make others happy? How can you make others better? So, yeah,
exactly.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were reacting.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the world. Like, yeah, keep going. Yes.
So why do you make that distinction? Why do you make the distinction between sacrifice as passé and happiness as current? Where do we turn that switch and say, yeah, I can sacrifice all the time, but I'd rather be happy? I wouldn't say that we have to necessarily sacrifice. I mean, there again, just to be quoted, like there are again those times that one does fast within the religion, and there's certain appropriate times. But I think ultimately, though, overall, there isn't that idea of that we have to sacrifice one thing for the other. That I think that by encompassing the sort of like, for example, like, maybe when it comes to prayer, that tears would, let's say, open the doors of heaven where laughter and dancing will break through them. So both will have the intention and both have the power to do what it is they're trying to accomplish. But dancing has this way, and simcha, happiness, has a way of just going over, just crashing through the barriers rather than trying to go around this way or that way, trying to go underneath or around. But rather, with simcha is bam, happiness. I'm going to cut right through. I'm going to go right over it and not let anything stop me and keep myself focused and moving forward. And that's a kind of lifestyle that I try to live by and to continue to inspire others to live by as well. And for those who don't know, the word simcha means happiness or celebration, and it's a very, very big thing with the Chabad world. Well, for all Jews, but the Chabad world, really, you take your simchas to the extreme.
The next level.
You make your own simcha level.
Yeah.
How did you start? How did you decide that your goal in life was to do this, to inspire others and make others happier?
I come from a warm and happy home. My parents are fantastic. I have, thank God, a great foundation of family and family values, and the house was always open to guests, and we always had people over, friends, family, and people of no relation just coming over if they needed a place to stay or something to eat. And for those who I always give my shout out to my mom on these podcasts, because she does get a lot of the credit. She does have a lot of incredible energy, and everybody can know right away that I'm Bossy's son. So like, I think there's a lot of that nurture that comes from like just being brought up in that and having those genes. That being said, coupled with the during the teen years when I was growing up, being part of going through school, boarding school, being away from home. I was sent away home at 13 to Jewish boarding school. It was a very hard and difficult time for me transitioning to that lifestyle. And I did, have difficult times to keep my happiness level high. And so going through those perhaps darkest times in my life, I could relate to those people who are going through it, and something that's very natural. Number one thing a lot of people feel like when they're going through a depressing time is that they feel alone and no one can relate to them. And it's quite important to open up to others and to allow someone safe, someone you trust within that, to come within that world and help you out with that. So I believe that so going through that and seeing how unproductive I was and how I view life and not doing what I can to live life and to be happy and to make my world and the world a better place. I know through that experience, and then going throughout my other years and traveling and meeting people and volunteering and just as I was learning and growing, I just realized that I fell through to like, okay, by going out and, not pursuing money or not pursuing this or that, but actually when I go and interact with others, when I go and make someone else smile, and when I go and make someone else happy, it brings me back an immense amount of joy. Let me do more of that. Let me do more of that. Oh, and how will you go about, could you make a living off this? Could you go and support yourself? And how will you, all these questions, a lot of people come up and always ask you these kind of questions. And I believe when it comes to anything in your life, if you're passionate about anything, the other aspects will come to follow, whether it's money or foundation, whatever it is that you might need to continue to do what you love, they will come because you're passionate about it. And so, yeah, and that's what it is that's driving me. There's an amount of happiness that comes to me, and I'll admittedly say that I do get an amount of joy when I'm going out and doing this, when I'm dancing for people, or going out and being happy, or creating these projects that are inclusive and bring out a certain message. It brings me an immense amount of joy to be able to bring that to other people who are within the project. So let's say we're doing a certain project or video, but also for those who will be able to watch it and learn from it and go about to and maybe they'll change a certain way of they think and broaden their mind to like, hey, I didn't know that's possible. Hey, why was I taught one thing? Maybe I should go and learn something about, this, and if they could go on and be a ripple effect and change other people's lives.
Love it. And as a nice Jewish boy, you credit your mother. Just love it.
No, threw it in there, but it's true. It is 100% true.
Anytime anyone compliments my good manners, it's like, it's my parents, my mom. Like, just talk to her.
She did teach you well then. She did.
So before you said it's not just helping others, but it's using all your God-given talents. What does that mean, and how did you discover those?
Oh, okay. Good question. So I would say, how do you use them, and how do you discover them? Well, I think it comes, just by doing so. By the other night, I was by a bar mitzvah on the side. Besides doing video production and motivational speaking, I do motivation by bar mitzvahs, which I go and have the DJ and dance and get the kids and the whole crowd involved, and I truly love it. Besides working up a sweat, it's fantastic. After 3 hours of dancing, people are like, how are you not tired? And I can just keep on going. It's like those rechargeable batteries. So it's like, the more I dance, the more environment that I'm in that's just good and happy, I don't lose energy. I just keep on receiving it. It's incredible. And someone was like, Meir, they pulled me to the side, like, listen, I just watched you dancing for hours and having this effect in this room. Like, how do you do this? And I tell them, what I just told you right now, how I just literally just feed off the energy within the room. And he's like, listen, man, this is an incredible gift. He himself was saying how he's a happy person, energetic person. He's like, listen, you gotta, while you'll lose it if you don't use it. So, and something which really, and I think, like anybody, when people get old, they have to use their minds. They have brain exercises, to continue using the mind. Otherwise it could fade away. And so I literally try to incorporate everything that all my aspects, whether it's my dancing, whether it's my thought process, to always try to think of ways to be happy and to make projects that could bring goodness to the world, by speaking, by doing, by using my body. And how does one discover their talents? It's by facing fears. It's by trying new things. It's by going out there. I thought, for example, like, after the system, so to speak, within the yeshiva system, the schooling system, it's a bit different from going from elementary to middle school to high school, then to college. Within the Jewish world, you have the elementary years, then you go on to like, it's called like Yeshiva Katana, which is like the small yeshiva, which is like for 3 years. Then you go on to another program, which is for 4 years. And then you spend a year on Shlichut, which is going out to a community around the world and volunteering for them, teaching the kids, adults, running different various programs. And then there's another year or so of getting your rabbinical degree. And then after that, usually people go on to get married and quote unquote start their lives. But I instead of going down that path, which was going okay for a certain amount of time, but then I was realizing that it was not going the way others it works for. It wasn't working for me. So I mixed it up. And I left a bit early, and instead of finishing the last year of you could say high school, I went on a year early and went to volunteer at a Jewish community in Manchester, England. I really enjoyed it. So some friends and I went to Singapore, and we spent 2 years volunteering over there and getting my rabbinical degree there. So and then after that, instead of going back home where all my friends were going back home and to get started their lives, getting jobs and getting married, which most of them did, I decided, like, you know what? I want to go travel. I'm out here in Asia already. Let me go out and discover the world. I've read so much in different books about the world, and I've always talked to people about their traveling experiences. And it was a bit frightening at first, to go by myself, to go solo. But I decided, let me do this. And I heard by so many people, by going solo, you discover a lot about oneself, and it challenges you as well. And all those things happened to me. And I went out. And from 1 month turned to 7 months, and I traveled throughout Asia, and it was an incredible experience. And it brought a lot. It brought to light within myself. It brought to me, wow, things which I enjoy, things that I don't enjoy, things, a lot of times I thought that I was always an extrovert, but no, there's a huge part of me which is introverted. And there are times where I do appreciate being alone and being myself, and it's okay to be alone in one's head and be by themselves. I feel like a lot of people try to distract themselves by not allowing themselves to think and to process and to feel and to really feel, being on these like 12, 14, 20 hour train rides through India. And after reading a bunch and listening to a bunch, you just get to a time and like you just sit there and you're thinking, and that's okay. And your mind goes to places, and you rethink a lot of things in life. And that's okay. In this day and age, we listen to a lot of music, we binge watch a lot of shows, we go out and we socialize. But how often do we able to just like reflect and come back? And you'll read this a lot in many different books. Many different mentors that I read about, Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, good guys out there who, which incorporate a lot of meditation to take, just a few moments a day, in the morning, in the evening, whatever it may be, to really reflect, tune off, and come back to the basics, and to re-energize within oneself. And that's something which I learned as well through traveling, and I incorporate within my daily life through prayer.
Is there one experience either that has already happened to you, or that you would want it to happen, that would summarize or exemplify, this is it, this is what I'm talking about, or this is my mission?
I don't think I've ever had that in my life, in any aspect of my life, the one defining moment, which is pretty climatic, and it could be an awesome point. I think for me, it was just a lot of gradual events and thought processes and mistakes and learning curves throughout my life that's brought me to this point. And I do have a lot more to go. That being said, for me, it's just training myself over and over again to always redirect myself to sort of, put the sails up. Maybe you can't change the direction of the wind, but you can change the direction where you're going with it. So I'm paraphrasing one of the quotes there. And I think it's like you have the power. Sometimes within life, things will happen to you. And you have no power over that, but it's how you react to that and how you allow that to affect your life, which you do have the power to do. That is, I think, a big foundation of one's own happiness is to really control that aspect, to take hold of one's perspective in life and build the right perception in the way what you want, and to build the reality that you deserve and that you want, and not to conform to anything else.
Okay, Meir, now I want to do a rapid fire section. I have a few quick questions about what makes you happy, and I want your gut reaction. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
What is the first happy moment you can remember?
My first happy moment I remember, was landing the part and acting in The Wizard of Oz as the Cowardly Lion in my school play.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
That was, oh my God, it sounds so bad now, but 6th grade. I've had happier than
But that's the one you remember, so that's fine.
Cool. I did enjoy that, though. I was happy.
Now the opposite. What is the last thing you remember that made you happy?
The last thing, yesterday. You kidding? Yesterday was amazing. Well, today I woke up and thank God I'm happy, all good. But yesterday was incredible. I joined a parade in New York City celebrating Israel, and I was in my onesie. I was out there and I was doing it. And actually, I think yesterday it brought me to the realization of today's, it gave me the answer to your question. What makes me happy was yesterday when I was out there, I was dancing, I was singing, I was meeting people, I was having conversations, I was talking. It was like, I was just using everything about me. And I was just so happy. I was in there, and it was an incredible energy. So yesterday, to answer your question, yesterday was that day.
The once it came back into conversation.
Yeah.
Do you have a happy food?
My happy food. Oh my gosh. I do. My go-to. I'm a huge pizza guy. So now I'm using I'm keeping to a healthy diet. So I do miss the pizza. Occasionally, I do throw in a slice. But pizza is where it's at.
Where do you get
melts? Tuna melts. Sorry. Oh, I love tuna melts. Give you with some hot peppers on that, some olives, tomatoes, onions. Forget about it.
Where do you get the best pizza?
The best pizza is in upstate New York. There's this place called Fialkov's. It's this little place. It's only open in the summer, and it's so great. It's spicy. It's known to be a bit spicy, but I love spicy food, and it's just fantastic. You could go out there and you have to minimum wait out an hour and a half for a pie. It's just everybody flocks there during the summer.
Where is your happy place?
My happy place. My happy place. That's a great question. I love, for me, my happy place is not a specific place, but I just enjoy traveling. So when I'm on the road, and it doesn't have to be so far and exotic, but when I'm moving, when I'm there with my backpack on my back and I'm in the airport, I'm moving, I get into this happy zone. I get into this transcendental space in my head where when I'm flying somewhere, I get, ideas come to me and just thoughts and emotions, and that I feel like that. And when I'm moving forward, that's my happy place.
And the last one, who is the happiest person you can think of?
Oh, well, I mentioned her already. My mother. Really. I'm not, it's not even like the Jewish thing going on. There's no Jewish guilt here. She's really the the happiest person I know. I mean, there might be other celebrities and actors and famous people that we may know who are known to be happy, but you never know, right? But I know, within my life, and someone who's touched me and inspired me to be happy is my mom.
And with the happy food, I was wondering, is he gonna say his mom's Kugel? But she came back with the happiest person. So you give her a shout out again.
No, but that's absolutely true.
Meir, if people want to know more about you, where can we find you?
So I'm on all social media platforms. Hit me up on Facebook. Love to hear from you. DM me, message me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube.
Great. And I'll make sure to include all those links. Meir, thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh, and also, of course, by the way, if you want to hit me up at meirkay.com as well, we have a happy newsletter which goes out to stay in the loop of all the amazing work that we're doing out.
And watch the videos because they're amazing. They're really good videos. And I'm going to do a shout out to one of the people who, the reason why I know about you, Michelle Poehler. You did a very good video with her, and then you have your great videos. So go check them out.
Yes, absolutely. Love Michelle.
Thank you so much for sharing, Meir. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your joy.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Bernardo. I really appreciate it. Lots of love, lots of happiness. Stay positive. Be happy. I'm Meir Kay. Have a great day.
Thank you, Meir, for sharing what makes you happy. And thanks everyone for listening. A special thanks to Jason Zappolo for editing this episode, Orly Margulis for help with social media, and Rocio Castañeda for ongoing support. You can learn more about this project and listen to past episodes at www.thehappypodcast.com, and you can find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Happy Podcast, and youtube.com/thehappypodcast. You can go to iTunes and subscribe for updates on your device, and if you leave us a 5-star review there, more people can find us. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you soon.